Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Advocacy. We are excited tonight because, again, we try to have a variety of shows. We have our parents, we have the services, we have different people that come from the schools, we have different people that come from the medical side. But tonight we're having an exciting athletic athletes serving athletes. I did meet them at one of the expos, and I was just so excited. And I'm so excited because Morgan has been a part of ASA since that time. So, of course, I have my capable co-host Madeline with me, and we
Mhm.
have Julia Cardian. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Julia tell you a little bit about herself, and then we're going to hear about ASA.
All right. Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and talk about athletes serving athletes. So, yeah, I met Paula at the Disabilities Expo in College Park last year, and we got to talking about the work that she does with advocacy, and we talked about athletes serving athletes, and then we got to talk about Morgan. And when we were talking about Morgan and I was sharing about our program, I said, you have to bring Morgan to a group run. And what ASA does is we're a running program, and we pair athletes living with limited mobility with runners from their local communities, and we train and we race almost all year long. We do not run in January and February because it is so cold, but otherwise we run the rest of the year. And we're an inclusive running program. We make it possible for athletes who couldn't do a 5K, a marathon, a half marathon. We make it possible for them to be able to do it alongside the able-bodied runners. And so Morgan joined our program this year, and she's been participating and loving it. She's doing a race this weekend with us. And so what Morgan gets to do, we do with about 100 athletes all across Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. And we're excited to continue to grow. And I'm excited to share with you all more about us tonight.
All right. So, I mean, I think that was a good intro. And anybody that knows me, they know how particular I am with my daughter being a part of different things. Now, one thing that I do, I want her to be out in the community. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of activities that will accommodate her with her various disabilities, whether it's behavioral, whether it's physical. And so when I met Julia, the one thing that attracted me to them is because of that stroller. We have several strollers for Morgan, and we call this, man, my husband called this the Mercedes Benz stroller. And it's the stroller that makes her feel like she's in a lounge chair. She pulls her hood over it when she wants to, when she doesn't want to be bothered. But it's a really comfortable stroller that we take everywhere we go with us because it definitely gives us the ability to enjoy something while Morgan is being comfortable. So, Julia, can you tell us a little bit about what you guys provide for your athletes that are special needs?
Yeah, so all of the athletes in our program, they participate completely free. We cover the cost of all of their racing. We cover the cost of the adaptive racing jogger. You referred to it as a stroller that you love taking Morgan out in. We call it our adaptive racing jogger. And so we have about 13 vehicles scattered around the 3 different states, and they are chock full of our adaptive racing joggers that we put together for our group runs and races. And so when our athletes race, some of them, due to their different disabilities and their muscular support and what they're able to do with their bodies, sometimes they need additional pillows or foam or supports to help them, stay comfortable for what could be a 5-hour race if they're doing a marathon with their team. But these adaptive racing joggers, they're so great. They have this 5-point harness. It keeps our athletes safe. They're comfortable in it. And it's a 3-wheeled racing jogger, and it's just great to race in. And we have about 125 of them in our fleet right now.
So, as far as the athletes, are these professional athletes or just like the high school athletes, or
Yeah,
in
so
school, or?
So we call our ASA athletes, those are the individuals living with limited mobility. So those are the athletes in our program. And then our volunteer runners, we call wingmen. So all of our athletes, when they're going to an ASA group run or participating in a race in their local community, they're empowered by their wingman team, and they push the adaptive racing jogger with their athlete in it through whatever distance race they happen to be doing that day. So when I say athlete, I'm typically referring to the athlete living with a disability that's in our program.
Okay. So and how do you, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, and then all of our volunteer runners, they're not professional athletes. They're all your, the teachers in local schools, nurses, doctors, teachers. We have quite a growing population of retired folks who have decided to kind of get active in retirement and come out and run. So we don't necessarily run fast, but we always finish together. Our motto is together we finish. So it's just kind of your average people coming out to run and make it possible for others.
Okay.
So, Julia, I know how I was a little resistant at first, because the first thing I didn't know how Morgan would, gel with the staff. For many of you guys that know Morgan or don't know Morgan, she has a lot of social anxiety when it comes to dealing with people that she's not familiar with. Give us a snapshot of how you guys deal with that and how you make it comfortable for the families to entrust their individuals to you.
Yeah, so that is, I think Morgan's concerns and anxieties and your experience and your worries with her joining are very similar across the board. And so we kind of have a slower onboarding process. You can't just like show up randomly and join ASA. We have a process where you actually, the parent or guardian or caregiver of an uninterested athlete has a phone call with our director of programming, Matt. He gets to know them, gets to really understand their likes and dislikes, gets to understand their disability better. Once we want to make sure that when they come to their first group run, to get to know us, to try out the jogger, that we are fully prepared for them to come. So we like to ask questions like, are there any sensory issues? How do they feel about people talking to them up close or further away? Do they want some space first? Or can we be really excited to meet them? So we ask all of those questions and then work with the parent. We make a special athlete profile that our background checked volunteers, which are like our senior wingmen, our captains, get to see. And that way, when Morgan came for her first time, the people who were going to run with her already knew about her. They got to read her profile. Every community has a coordinator. So Morgan's coordinator is Tanya. And she got to know that Morgan was coming ahead of time. We make sure that everybody knows what Morgan likes. And that way, when Morgan comes, we want her to feel like she's coming and meeting old but new friends that already know her. And I think when Morgan came for the first time, she really had a great time because we're able to, some of our athletes, we know what their favorite music is or their favorite sports team. And if you can just start talking about the common everyday stuff that an athlete loves, it really breaks that barrier down pretty fast. And if they don't like loud noises, we'll make sure to keep it quiet, and really just try to meet our athletes where they are so that they have a great time.
Good. I like that. That's good. Invite them, make them feel welcome. And also to participate in things that everybody's able to participate, make them feel involved. Now, your organization, do you span out to, let's say, for instance, the breast cancer walk? Do y'all get involved in that?
Yeah, we do about 110 races every year. Every year we're adding new races in. So last year we did 95 races. This year we're doing about 110. And our goal is to actually do local 5Ks and 10Ks and half marathons. So we as ASA, we only own 2 races. So of the 110, only 2 of those are ours. The rest, our goal is really to create inclusive running experiences for our athletes. So we're going into local races in every community where we are. Yeah, so our goal is to be right there with the rest of the community doing everything.
What are some of the races? Can you tell us? I know you say you have several races that you participate in throughout the year. What are some of the races that you participate in? And can you tell us what's ASA's goal in participating in these races?
Yeah, so we do, oh my goodness, so for the 110 races, we do everything from, we did the Emancipation 5K run and walk for diabetes last weekend. We do the Run Wild for Autism at the Baltimore Zoo. That's this coming Sunday. We do the Baltimore Running Festival every year. We do the Bay Bridge Run and Walk. That's every November across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, which is a great experience. We're doing the St. Charles Running Festival this weekend that Morgan's doing. So we try to do everything from smaller races to the larger races because all of our athletes love different types of experiences. And our goal in every race is to help our athletes experience the thrill of athletic competition, like experience that thrill of starting off a race and everybody cheering for you, and then finishing a race and having everybody cheering for you. All of our athletes have their name on the side of their jogger. And so runners on the course and spectators are cheering for all of our athletes by name. And they don't get that a lot. They're not, going to a basketball game and running up and down the court and having somebody cheer for them. But when they're doing a race with ASA and someone's cheering for Morgan as she crosses the finish line, some of our athletes can smile and we know that they love it. Some of our athletes can't, but we know that they're still loving it because of how their eyes move and different ways that they show that. So we do lots of different types of races to kind of help meet our athletes with whatever they want to do. We have some really competitive athletes that they want to train and do that marathon, and they want to do it as fast as their team can. And then we have some athletes that really love the homegrown 5Ks. They want to do the 5K in their backyard and see people from their local school and stuff like that. So we try to do a lot of different types of races so that no matter what our athletes enjoy, whether it be huge races or smaller, we have some athletes that have a lot of sensory issues and the big races are off. They're not possible. It is just too much for them. But to go to a smaller neighborhood 5K is what they love. And that's how they feel most a part of their community. So we pick all the different races so we have options so that every athlete gets to fulfill their dreams, whatever that may be for them.
And I will say, this year, I think we started off, I think I met you guys in May, if I'm not mistaken. And since that time, I believe we have done at least 4 to 5 races. And there have been times that we've signed up for races, but then there are times that we get a email or a call to say, hey, we have space. Is it possible that Morgan wants to attend? And for me, because I enjoy this so much, I enjoy it for me as well as for her. I make sure that most of the times that they call us, I make myself available because me as a parent, my ultimate goal is to make sure that Morgan is as much as a part of the community as possible. And even with her anxiety, the more you get her out, the more, you help her to understand that, these people that are strangers, they're not stranger danger, but there are some people that are out in the community that mean you well. So I think with her, I think it's a twofold thing. I think with Morgan, it was just great to know that people care enough to include her because most of them are excluded. They're like, somebody that's most of the time forgotten. And I also believe that at the same time, it was just something to get, for me, while they running, I'm walking, so it gives me an opportunity to know that my daughter is in a safe with a group of people that she's safe. And I can also take a quick walk. So it's kind of a twofold thing. Yeah.
The fact that you feel that way like brings tears to my eyes, because that's what we want every parent to feel when their son or daughter participates with ASA, is that like that they would know that they're safe with us. You know,
Yes.
like that is so important. We have some parents who say like, you know, some of our athletes' disabilities have been caused from injuries and from birth injuries and from traumas. And like to then have a parent who maybe hasn't let their child out of their sight say, we're going to try this. And then they grow to know that they really can trust us. First, they had to take a leap of faith, and then they know that they can. And we have athletes in our program now that like, they never used to leave their parents' side, and now they're going for 5-mile runs without their parent. And to know that we have built a program that is trustworthy and that you felt that so quickly, like that's our ultimate goal, because everybody deserves that. Everybody is worthy of that and deserves that. You, Morgan, and everybody. And I'm so glad that you felt that so quickly.
Oh my goodness. And I know the first conversation that I had with Matt, I was like, Matt, I don't know about this. I really didn't know about it from Morgan's end. I would be for real. And he said, well, do you want to try? And I said, sure, we can try it. But I didn't really, I'm going to be honest. My expectations was like, yeah, she's not going to do it. But when we get her out that car and we get her into that stroller, I mean, there's no fight. There is just enjoyment. And then I also love the fact that when I got there, the staff is so kind. The staff is so nice. I mean, there were times that we went to one race, and I think that was on Juneteenth, and they wanted us there like an hour before. And I didn't know specifically why, but Morgan, for her to sit antsy because she has ADHD, it's hard for her. So I was just like, you know, when we got there, have to just kind of sit for an hour. She doesn't understand that. But the staff was so gracious. The staff was so kind and so accommodating. And it was like, hey, Paula, listen, we're just going to keep taking her forward. We're just going to keep walking her around in the stroller. And that's what they did, because if you don't keep her moving, then she feels as though, you know, hey, I'm just sitting around doing nothing. And that's not her MO. So I just really appreciate the staff. I appreciate the mission of ASA, but I also appreciate the staff, how they go that much further to make sure that they accommodate the needs of that individual. And I can honestly attest, anybody that knows me, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to test something out, and then I'm going to tell you what I think. It's a great program. It's a great program.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. Yeah, I will say give a huge shout out to our amazing volunteers. You know, we're a staff of 5, but we have 400 volunteer runners, and throughout the year we have about 900 volunteers total. But to have 400 people who have come together to say we are going to be the legs for all of these athletes for the entire year is huge. And those volunteers, our wingmen and captains, they go out of their way day in and day out at every group run and race to make that experience phenomenal for our athletes. So our wingmen, we have the best volunteers around. I would put them in any contest anywhere. We have the best.
Wow, this is great. I mean, I'm loving this, and I'm learning more. Now, you might have said this. So your athletes, they can be mobile as far as walking on their own, right?
Some of our athletes are able to walk on their own. All of our athletes have limited mobility. So most of our athletes live every day in a wheelchair. Some of our athletes use walkers. Some of our athletes can walk but need support, and most of our athletes who can walk really can't do more than like walk a little bit. So, they have different disabilities where they would never be able to do a 5K or something like that without the use of one of our adaptive racing joggers. So most of our athletes, though, have pretty severe disabilities where they are in wheelchairs and are not able to use some or most of their limbs and their body.
Okay. I asked that because I don't, sometimes you don't know. And I don't want to step on anybody's toes. Like, let me just give an example of me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't walk that far without the pain and stuff. And let's say I wanted to participate in something, would I be eligible?
Yeah.
For
So
this?
so we kind of have 3 criteria that we use when we're helping to decide, is this the right fit for a person. And so one of the things that we say is, do you use a wheelchair in your daily life? If the answer is no, then we kind of go to the next question of, do you use adaptive mobility devices when you leave your house?
Okay.
So, because a lot of people, they might be able to get around their home fine, but as soon as they go out into the community, they're using a walker, they're using a different type of mobility device of some sort. So then if the answer is yes, then you would be a great fit. Then if the answer is no, then we kind of go to a third question that is kind of like, okay, if you don't use either of those, if you didn't answer yes, then let's talk about what your limiting factors are. And it's a whole gray area. Our goal is to make our program as accessible for as many people as possible. So then it's figuring out, okay, I can walk, but I have to walk really slow and I have a lot of pain. And so it's kind of trying to figure out, we have found that our program is most enjoyable for, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. Like if somebody is, let's say they really are more mobile than not, they might not enjoy our program as much as somebody who is less mobile, but they are mobile. Just because it's like the more independent that you are able to be in life, sometimes we've just found that when those folks try out our program, they actually feel like we're making them feel like they're too disabled in a way. I don't mean that to sound
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like they're like, well, I don't want to be laying that far back in a jogger because I like sitting up and I can sit up and I can talk, but now I'm laying back, but that's not who I am. We're like, well, but the jogger's really designed for somebody that really does want to lay back further, and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's why I said I didn't want to. You know how you take someone's spot? Like, for instance, I have a handicap placard, and there were times that I did not park there. I parked somewhere where it was another close for somebody that really may need it more than I did. So that's why I was asking. But that's good to know. So that I see the difference in how you hear.
Yeah, and that's why too, we always say, like, when in doubt, come check us out. Like, we would love, we have guest spots at every single group run, kind of like when Morgan and Paula came. Whenever we're not sure if somebody is going to enjoy our program, or if they're not sure if they're going to like it, our first thing is, let's just go for a run together. Let's just try it out. Come check us out and let's see if you like it. And if you do, great. And sometimes people say, you know what, I totally love that. This is what I've been looking for. And we actually had somebody who wanted to join our program who's like, I just miss running. I used to be able to, and I can't. And then we've had people who have joined our program and they're like, you know what, I miss running, but that wasn't the right fit for me. And so it's just everybody's different and unique. And so we say, just come check us out. And if we work for you, great. And if not, that's okay too.
Well, check it out. Okay.
Now, let me ask you, what are some of the areas that you all have ASA in, so that some of our athletes, because I will say we participate in excuse me, in Virginia. I want to say ours is Alexandria.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
so can you tell some of our listeners where you all have, like, I guess they're considered as coax? Um,
We
as
have
well?
different communities. So
Okay.
we actually just opened our 17th training location across 10 different communities. So all of our communities are run by a volunteer community coordinator. And then they oversee 1 to 3 different training locations. So what we found, we used to just kind of have one training location per county, and then COVID hit. And what we realized was that people really like a more convenient training spot. So we've been slowly opening more and more training locations spread around, so that our goal is that we want a training location to be within 20 minutes of everybody. So we've gone from 10 to 17 in the last 5 years. And we just kind of keep opening more training spots as more people join, so that we can make it easier for people to come for a run every week, and then participate in races. So right now we have 10 different communities. So we have our Northern Virginia community that has training spots in Vienna and Alexandria. We have PG County that is up and running, and we have 2 training spots there. One's in Bowie and one's at Lake Artemisia. Then we have a community in Anne Arundel County, and they train in Annapolis. We have Baltimore County, and they have 3 different training spots in Northern Baltimore County, Eastern, and then more central in Towson. We have a community in Howard County, and they train at Lake Elkhorn. We have a community in Montgomery County, and they have 2 training locations now, one in Gaithersburg and one in Silver Spring. We have a community in Frederick, and they train out at Baker Park. We have a community in Hartford County, and they train up at Hartford County Community College. We have a community, who am I missing? Baltimore City, and they train at 2 different spots in Canton and in Federal Hill, or Locust Point, I guess is where they train. We have a community in South Central Pennsylvania, and they train in Harrisburg, and they also train in York. And I think I hit all of them. If I forgot anybody, I am very sorry. But yeah, we have training locations kind of all over.
I didn't
Now,
realize you all had that many.
we do. We really want to make ASA available to everybody, where if you like to run, or even if you don't, but you can run and you want to come make it possible for somebody, we have a spot for you to come help.
Yeah, and I will say that if anybody has seen that stroller, that is a very comfortable stroller. And I think when I saw you guys in May, I even said what made me purchase the stroller is because they said it will accommodate my size. Now, with that being said, is there a size restriction or weight restriction when it comes to your athletes that are riding in the stroller? Because as we know, it is the wingmen take turns doing pushing the stroller. They change off. But tell us, are there any other restrictions other than going through that to figure out if they are a good fit?
Yeah, so the youngest athlete in our program that we've ever had is like 6 months old. And the oldest person we've ever had in our program was 55. And so there's really no age limit to being in our program. In terms of a weight limit, the smaller you are, I would say until you're about 2, it is a little hard to get comfy in the 5-point harness. So all of our joggers have a 5-point harness system to keep everybody kind of in and safe. So younger than 2, we have to jerry rigs some stuff or use a slightly different stroller. Sometimes we even use the family's jogging stroller if they have one. And so we don't have that many athletes under the age of 2, but when we do, we work with the family to figure out the right setup for racing for them. And then once you get over about 200 pounds, there are other joggers that are better for that weight limit. So we actually have one of those joggers up in our PA area right now. And so as we get athletes, as they age and gain weight and become bigger for the current jogger that is mostly used by most of our athletes, we do have other available joggers that if we need to use them, then we can, because we don't want weight to ever prohibit somebody from participating. So we just kind of switch to a different style jogger.
So let me ask you this, and I'm sorry, Madeline. Go ahead,
Okay.
Madeline. No. Go ahead, Madeline.
Have you ever had an athlete start out in the race, and then in the middle they want to stop? They're just done.
Yeah, no, it actually happens often. We have athletes that have, whether it could be they could just be having a bad day. It was early in the morning. They didn't sleep well. Their medication maybe didn't get in time. Their food was off. A lot of our athletes are G-tube fed. And so their timing is off with race morning and stuff and different things. So there could be a variety of reasons why an athlete could be having an off morning. So, sometimes we just pull over and we stop running and we try to help the athlete just get readjusted. Sometimes distracting them and talking to them and playing music will help them kind of calm down. And then we go finish the race. Sometimes we call the parent. All of our athlete profiles kind of have a what to do if type of information. So if an athlete is having an off morning, we might call the parent and say, what do you want us to do? Should we finish the race? Should we stop? Do you want to meet us halfway? So a lot of times we just give the parent a call and see what they want to do. But we have had athletes that can't finish races, and that's okay, And then we have athletes who they were just really tired because they had to get up at 2:00 to get to the Bay Bridge by 5:00, and they're just exhausted. And the parent says, just keep going, because when you get halfway, they're probably going to fall asleep, and they could really use a nap, And so we finish a lot of races with an athlete just might be exhausted and they fall asleep. And when they wake up, they had a great time. They are rested. Their team loves them. They had a great race. The parents happy. So everything's happened before.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So you're prepared. So you're very knowledgeable. Good.
Now, how do you work with? I know one of the questions that they had on there for me with Morgan, because Morgan does have a seizure condition. How would you advise parents who feel as though, their kids have seizure conditions and they have different things that could potentially be a medical issue? Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I would say if there are any parents out there who think that their child is too medically complex to participate in an activity, you probably have a home in ASA. We have very fragile athletes in our program. We have worked really hard to develop systems with our volunteers and with the parents to communicate really well about those. Matt works really hard with every family to make sure that we have an emergency protocol in place, especially for our athletes with seizures. It could be that we just need to take all of their emergency meds on every run. And we have done that before. Every race has EMTs on site. And while our volunteers are not trained to administer some of the seizure meds the way they need to be administered, the EMT personnel is at a race. And so, all of our athletes start out doing 5Ks first. And we have runners in our program that, like, worst case scenario, an athlete starts to have the worst seizure that they have ever had. 30 seconds hits, we call the parent. The parent says, if it's that bad, get to the EMT. The parent with a 5K race can also probably get to the EMT. We can be to the finish line typically if we were the furthest point away, we have sprinters in our program who would get that athlete to the EMT within time to be able to administer emergency meds. We would have 911 already on the way. So we have policies in place to really safeguard, to make sure that our athletes are safe. And we make sure that the parents help us create the plan. So we don't make it alone. We don't make it in a vacuum, but we work with the parents and we say, what does your school do? What would you like us to do? And then we make sure that it's written up how the parent wants. And then we communicate that to the people who will be running with their child. And that way, no matter what happens, we will follow that. The parent, we always exchange cell phone numbers. The parent is always in the loop from the get-go. So I know that seizure disorders can be very, very disruptive. We have had major seizures on course before, and we're grateful for parents who answer their phone right away when we call. We're grateful for the EMT staff on site, and it always has worked out so far, which is great. That means that our policy, our plan is working, which we love. But there's other medical situations that are really hard too. We have some athletes who need to be suctioned frequently. And so some of those teams run really slow, and sometimes walk. That way the parent can be nearby at all times in case the athlete needs to be suctioned. We have athletes who are on ventilators. And so we've had ventilator issues on course before and had to fix those. So we now know how to rehook ventilators when they fall out or fall off. We've had G-tubes come out on course that have to get fixed. So we've experienced a lot of things over the years, but grateful that we kind of talk with parents to figure out, if this happens, what should we do? What do you want us to do? Because our goal is that the parent feels that their child is as safe as possible. So what the parent says goes. So whatever you want us to do, we will put on their profile and communicate to their volunteers.
I love that, because I think for all those that are hearing and those that are going to listen later, it just definitely removes the option of not participating. So when you hear about all the provisions that they have in place, you do know that it's a great environment for your child. It's a great activity for your child. And I will say, for Morgan, it's just something to get her out and about, and something to just put a smile on her face. And I remember one time in particular, we went to the Juneteenth run, and everybody that came across the finish line, they had a beautiful medal for Morgan. And it was so funny because we took, Tanya gave me the video. They put the medal on Morgan. Morgan took it right back off. But I could tell you one thing she was doing. She was holding that medal. When she came home, she did not let anybody else hold that medal. And to this day, Morgan has that medal. And for me, that was a sense of accomplishment for her. So she recognized that as something that she accomplished. And just like when she crossed that finish line, just like every other runner or walker or participant, she was given a medal. And I think that was awesome. It was.
Yeah. We have one of our athletes that used to participated a while ago. I remember her saying to us one time, she's like, I never thought that I would be able to do this. I never thought I would be able to participate in 5Ks. And we don't have many athletes in our program that can verbally communicate with us. And so when some of our athletes are able to, and they can put into words things like that like, I never thought I would be able to do something like this because of my cerebral palsy. I never thought that I would be able to cross the finish line, participate in a race, hear people cheer my name. Like when Dave Fu said that to me one time, I was like, yep, like that's it right there. That's it. That's what she wanted to do. She never thought it was possible. And I think, she was able to put into words what most of our athletes will never be able to say to us. But then when you hear parents say that, like, no, they wouldn't let their medal out of their hands, like it's like, okay, they couldn't tell us they loved it, but they can show us, they're not going to put down their medal, or we have some parents who say that their athlete gets really upset when they go to school or gets really upset when they go certain places. But as soon as they say, I'm going to ASA, their face calms. They're like, oh, okay. Like it's just, they can see like a change in their body language. So every athlete communicates differently why they love ASA or how they love it. But I love hearing that Morgan loved her medal. It's just like, that's it. Every athlete tells us in their own way that they love the program and that it brings them joy, that they know that they're loved here and that they belong and that they're significant. Like that's one of our core values. That's what we want everybody to feel, is that dignity, and when our athletes do, that's why we do it.
I love this. How did it start? ASA.
Yeah. So our founder is our executive director. His name is Dave Slemkowski. And in like 2005, 2006 timeframe, he heard a story about Rick and Dick Hoyt, which I don't know if you guys have heard of that story. We do go into it more in detail. There's a movie on our website called The Power of We. And Dave, it was a video that was made about us for our 15th anniversary a few years ago. And we kind of talk about Rick and Dick's story. And Dave shares about how he heard their story. And it was a father-son racing team. The son was born a spastic paraplegic. And there was a race at a school for a schoolmate who had gotten hurt. And he, with his communication device, told his dad that he wanted to do the race. And so the dad trained to do it with him. And then over the years, they became more famous. And the son loved when his dad pushed him because he felt like he didn't have a disability. And they just took off. The dad just kept training. They became very famous. They did a lot of triathlons and marathons. And so Dave heard a story about them and thought, who's doing that here? And he looked because he wanted to get involved in an organization that was doing that here in Baltimore. And there wasn't one. And so he talked to some friends. He was like, I think I want to do this. And they're like, what? Are you nuts? And he was like, no, I'm serious. Like this, there is a need for this here. And so he went down to a school in Baltimore City called the Bear School. And he just pitched this idea to them and said, do you have any athletes that might like this? And they said, yeah, an entire school full. When do you want to start? And so Dave just started going down to the school and he got some joggers and said, let's run around here. And so that's kind of how it started. And then it just kept growing. And ASA Incorporated in 2007, December 6, 2007, became an official 501c3, athletes serving athletes. And it has just kind of taken off from there. So we started in Baltimore City and have grown out. And now we're all in Maryland, Southern Pennsylvania, and Northern Virginia, and just continue. We have athletes that are still in our program that started with us at the Bear School. And one of the things that I love is that you don't age out. You don't hit 21 and your services stop at school and you can't do ASA anymore. Like we have athletes that have been in our program from the beginning, and they don't want to leave. They want to stay. We're their family. We're their inclusive experiences. Like we're like, no, let's just do this together. Terrence has friends at ASA, like friends who have disabilities and friends who don't have disabilities. And, like I love that about our program. Like we are a lifelong program. Once you're in ASA, you're in. And so volunteers that have been with us since the beginning, athletes that have been with us since the beginning. We have board members that have been involved since the very beginning. And I love that like our community just continues to grow, and that people have found a home here.
That's a wonderful story. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that story too, Madeline. I'm glad you asked that because I definitely wanted to know how did this get started. And I love what Joyce Cox has said. She loved that there's no aging out. I do too because most of the programs that you have is even for the younger kids, and it's also for, it's like it cuts off at a certain point and then it starts off with the older kids. So I love the fact that you can be a part of it. If I wish I'd have known when Morgan was young, up into, and I'm so glad that this is something that I don't have to worry about her aging out of, because at this point for me, I just it's something enjoyable. And sometimes they put an age to stuff, but some of these individuals, I know Morgan is extremely small. So just because she's 21, she doesn't look 21. So why not keep her with something she enjoys? A lot of these individuals they don't have much to transition from anyway, or two, but
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, once they get settled in and they start enjoying something, why should we uproot them? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Um, we do have someone, Joyce, that wants to know how can she become an athlete. And I will say this for Jeremy. My son, he wanted to be a part of it when he first started, and he said he's going to be on it. But Jeremy came to her first guest run with some sweatpants on in 90-degree weather. And I will say, not only did the team encourage Morgan, but they also encouraged Jeremy, to where Jeremy felt as though he was part of the team. So I'm glad you asked this, Joyce, how can you become an athlete? Because even for some families, Jeremy really liked the concept. And he was like, Mom, I definitely want to be a part of that. Tell our listeners and family members how they can be a part of something like this.
Yeah. So if you want to become I'm going to separate out two different terms here. So if you want to become an ASA athlete, so that's a person in our program with a disability with limited mobility. There's a form on our website. You just kind of go to asa.run/athlete. And there is an application on there that gives us some initial information about you or your son or daughter. And then we set up a time to talk with Matt. So Matt gets that. It gives him some initial information to be able to kind of email back and set up a phone call to then kind of figure out, where do you live? Is it a great fit? Learn more about your athlete, and kind of talk through all of that to help get you connected. If you want to become, a lot of people think, so we use the term athlete to be the ASA athlete with the disability in our program. A lot of people reach out to us and say, hey, I want to be one of your athletes. But what they're really asking is, I want to be a volunteer runner with your program. And so if you're asking about being a volunteer runner, if you go to our website and just click on program and wingman, so all of our volunteer runners are called wingmen. And so you would complete that process to sign up to be a wingman. And if you're not sure if it is a right fit for you, you can always email us and we would love to talk to you about it, or come to a group run and try us out. We say all the time, no strings attached whatsoever. We have a guest spot on all of our group run sign up geniuses that are on our website. And we encourage people, bring guests all the time. The best way to see if ASA is the right fit for you is to come run with us one night. Come, we run it at Jones Point in Alexandria twice a month. We run at the W&OD Trail in Vienna twice a month. Come check us out. We run in Montgomery County 4 times a month at the 2 different spots. So we have opportunities everywhere for people to sign up and come check us out. And I would say we train through November. Most of our November trainings are on Saturdays. But then our weeknight trainings stop at daylight savings because those trails can get really dark after Halloween. So once daylight savings hit, our nighttime trainings kind of pause until the following March. But anybody can come check us out anytime at a group run. I do see the question that says, do you take walkers as well as runner wingmen? Right now, we are only a running program. So we don't do walking. We don't walk 5Ks or things like that. So right now, we are solely focused as a running program. So we have contemplated starting a wing walkers program at some point in
I
the
asked
future.
that. Remember when I first saw you,
Yeah.
Julia? I said, "Now I don't do no running." I said, "But can I walk?" She said, "Paula, we don't have walkers yet." So Joyce, I asked the same thing.
Yeah, no, people ask us all the time. And so every year, to be totally honest, we throw it against the wall and we say, are we ready yet? And we say no. And so, but it's always out there because people are always asking, do you do wing walkers yet? Do you do walkers? And we're not there yet. We're still, there's so many people that are still wanting us to bring our wingman program to their community. And so we just kind of keep growing that right now and staying focused in one lane at a time.
I'm gonna be honest, this is really nice because, again, the whole purpose for me is getting Morgan out in the community. I know you said you're a 501c3. How do you all accept donations? Because for those that don't know, those strollers are quite expensive. Tell us, how do you fund those strollers and where do you get donations from and how can people donate?
Yeah, so we get donations from a variety of revenue streams. We do a lot of corporate partnerships. We do family foundation grant writing. We do general donations. All of our wingmen volunteers, remember how I said they're like the best of the best out there. They, in addition to donating their time, all of our wingmen commit to raising $1 a day. So they all raise $365 every year for ASA. And many of them go above and beyond, which is such a gift. We also fundraise through our events. So we do 2 kind of like bash gala fundraisers with auctions each year. We do 2 run fests each year. We actually have one run fest coming up next weekend in Reston, Virginia, which is one of the 2 5Ks that ASA owns. And so that's a big fundraiser for us as well. But we have a lot of different revenue streams. So corporate partnerships are huge for us. Family foundation gifts are huge. And then individual like year-end gifts, kind of donations through people's work. We are now officially registered with the federal charity campaign as well as the Maryland charity campaign. So if there are any like federal workers that are listening or Maryland government employees, you can donate through your paycheck straight to ASA. We're approved through both those streams. So really any way that people want to donate, there is a way. And then, on our website, asa.run/donate is the easiest way that people could go tonight or whenever and make a gift to ASA. But yeah, love that if anybody wanted to come check us out, we have a race next Saturday. Can I do a plug for it, Paula?
Yes, we'll be there.
So Virginia Run Fest is on Sunday, September 28th. It's at Reston Town Center in Reston, Virginia. And I know that 495 traffic can be rough, but on a Sunday morning, no matter where you are, you can get there so quick. There's no traffic, which is great on a Sunday morning to go to Reston, Virginia. So if you live within an hour of there, you can get there really quick on Sunday. So please join us. It's a 5K. You can run it, you can walk it, you can mosey it. Everything goes. We have a kids zone. Segusto food truck is coming. We have a juggler. We have balloons. We have face painting, arts and crafts for the kids. We have music. We have therapy dogs. We have our ASA shop. We're unveiling all of our new merchandise for the entire year. So it is going to be a great day. The race starts at 9:00 in the morning. The site opens at 7:30. ASA.run/VA Run Fest. And anybody can come. I made a code for anybody on the podcast who's listening. Just use the code podcast when you sign up, and it'll take 10% off of your registration fees. And we would love to have people there. If you want to see ASA in action, come to a Run Fest. That's where you will see our teams racing alongside their community members. And that's what we're all about. So Run Fest is truly ASA at a glance. And it's a great day. You'll get Dave, our whole staff team will be there. Dave and I are on the microphones. Sometimes I feel like making fools of ourselves, cheering people across the finish line. My voice is always hoarse by the end, but it is such a fun day. And to be able to provide an opportunity for our athletes to race in their community alongside community members. It's what we do. It's why we do it. And would love for any of your viewers and family, friends, bring everybody. The more the merrier. Our goal is to make it feel like one big family party. And just to let people see what we do. And typically once people see it, they fall in love with it and help us spread the word, which is the goal, to be able to serve more athletes, serve more communities.
Well, I definitely can say that I've fallen in love with ASAA and the staff. I can honestly say that. I'm just telling you, it's a great experience. And this is my closing remarks as far as talking about ASA closing out. I just want everybody. I felt it imperative that we have ASA on the podcast because this again is a hidden jewel. I didn't even know about ASA, but this is some of the benefits of going to a lot of the expos and conferences pertaining to the special needs community, because a lot of times there's a lot of things out there, but what good is it if the people that need it don't know about it? So that's always my saying. It's so much out there, but if I don't know about it and I can't get Morgan involved. So my whole goal in life is to make sure Morgan is as productive as possible and that she is out in the community as much as possible. So for me, I will say this: ASA works for her, it works for me. And I was a little afraid that they would take Morgan and push her out, because as we know, Morgan has a personality. She really does. But when I say everybody embraces it, Tanya, when I just say she just lets Morgan be her, and not just Tanya, but the rest of the staff, they just let Morgan be her. And I just really appreciate that. So when I tell you, Julia, I'm just so happy I met you guys. I'm so happy that Morgan became a part of ASA. I feel like we are a small community, a small family. And I do know of a couple of the bashes that you guys are having. I know we'll be out of town for one of them, but I'm hoping that we can definitely participate in one of the bashes, because I believe that for me, it's important for me to give back. This is a free program for Morgan to be in, and I would love to make sure that I give back to make sure as many other people that would love to sign up have the capability. So for those out there, like she said, if even for CFC or the different things, ways you can give, I promise you guys, giving to ASA is a really good investment, because they definitely cater to the special needs communities or those with different abilities. So thank you guys for accepting Morgan in and accepting me and Jeremy and hubby in, because we're hooked for life. Yeah, we're hooked for life.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, so Madeline, I'll give you a chance, and then Julia, you can close us out.
Yes, as a person with a disability, I think this is just hearing more about it. This is wonderful because it opens doors for people that want to participate in this, but they're not able to because of their disability, regardless of physical, intellectual, whatever. And hearing from, like I said, Paula and you, and how your whole team is dedicated. It's not just for show, it's from your heart. You're knowledgeable, you're caring, you know exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And you, like I said, you always have the parents involved so they feel safe. And this, I commend you, and I just love, and the words that you use is elevate, encourage. Those two words stand out to me because you're giving the athletes the courage to go out there and be a part of it. and it elevates them how they feel about themselves. And this is just wonderful. And I do want to participate. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do it, but I do. But you'll hear from me. Thank you, Julia, and your team. Thank you so much for what you do.
Well, thank you both for having me on. Getting to talk about ASA is a joy. I love it. I love getting to share about it. Our goal is that we want to meet more athletes. We want to meet more Morgans. I know there are more Morgans out there, and that's why we just kind of keep staying focused in our lane, because we'll meet Morgan, and then we'll meet Morgan's friend. And then Morgan's friend is going to have a friend in another town. And then they're going to say, well, I don't have ASA here and I can't get all the way there. And then we will open another ASA community so that they can do ASA. And so your help to spread the word about ASA so that more people are aware of us, because I do believe we're doing some of the best work in our communities. We're making everybody know that they have a place and that everybody is welcome and loved and significant and accepted, and everybody belongs. And so thank you for helping spread the word about our program, and let's just keep spreading it. I want to see group run locations happening at every park in Virginia and Maryland and Pennsylvania, so that there is a place for everybody to come know that all is good and that there is joy in the world, and you can experience that at ASA. And so thank you for letting us share our story tonight. I'm so glad I met you and that Morgan's involved in our program. And Madeline would love to talk to you more about it and figure out how to get you involved. And so thank you. Thank you. Truly.
Oh my gosh.
Talk with you both tonight. Thank you.
This has been awesome. I'm serious. It has just been so awesome and so near and dear to my heart. So near and dear. So I thank you guys for joining. For those that's going to listen later, send us your questions. And also, here's my my notices that I have to tell everybody, my announcements. November the 8th is our first annual advocacy walk. We are so excited. Next year, we're going to add run on to it so ASA can join in. Yeah, we definitely are. Yes.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
But we're going to have our first annual walk. We're so excited. The website is up. So please, for those, go on there and register. We're trying to help our parents with IEPs. We're trying to make sure that we can help parents as much as possible to understand the process and help them navigate this process. So we are excited to have our first walk. I mean, all my team says I'm so excited. And I really, really am, because this is something that we're putting together. And I'm just excited to see. We just have so many activities there that day. So those that have not registered, please go on. Please register. Pick your shirt. Come out, enjoy the music. Come out, enjoy the festivities. We're going to make it so much fun. So if those, like I say, if it's November the 8th, just in case you don't remember, November the 8th, the week after November the 1st. So thank you, everybody, for joining us again. Thank you again for Julia for joining us. Thank you, Madeline. And we will have another show next week. Then don't forget, on our 4th Thursday is our informational session. We're going to have part 2 of compensatory services. So if you did not see part 1, please go on and look at that so you'll be prepared for part 2. For all of those that's listening, have a great weekend. Again, everybody, thanks for joining us. We really enjoyed this podcast. As you can see, we went over by 3 minutes, but we just enjoyed it that much. Okay, I can't apologize for that. All right, guys, have a great weekend.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.